And we're live! Hi, and welcome to another edition of Botha Rants. My name is Sophia Botha, your main host. Welcome to the stream where we go through all the latest LGBT political news of interest, or at least interest to me. And once again, I'm joined by Ozma. Now, you say hi, Ozma.
Hello.
Yeah, have you been doing your homework, finding out interesting facts about Toronto?
I actually have.
No. We'll save them for Monday.
Okay. Yeah. No, I was going to ask to make sure. I genuinely have. I've got like a folder in my on my browser that's just labeled Canadian news, so I can put stuff in there. And there was an obvious Toronto thing to bring up, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that some Monday. Yes, because Osman as we found out last Sunday, Osman needs to brush up on her Canadian geography.
Yes.
Despite only living 4 hours from the border. Anyways, Ozma, of course, lives in the Minneapolis area, and as you might know, there's been a lot of news coming from Minneapolis over the last...
St. Paul at the moment, but that's still Twin Cities area.
Yeah. Well, of course, my friend Tempest, who's been on this channel, actually lives in Minneapolis. I did ask her if she wanted to come on, but I think she's busy. But yeah, people might know, there's a lot of news coming from that area at the moment, or over the last 24 hours, which we'll get into. But I wanted to start off just telling you a story. So yesterday, Jim Steinman, the guy who composed Meatloaf's "Bat Out of Hell" album, died. Now, my story is about when the last boarding school I went to. Now, I went to 3 different boarding schools, unfortunately. And the last one I went to, when I was supposedly meant to be doing my A-levels, though I was more interested in smoking Class B substances. Story for another day. The kid in the room next door to me, every morning would play "It's a Bat Out of Hell." Now, when I went to this school, I had nothing against Meatloaf. I can't say I was a mega fan of Meatloaf, but I didn't have just found his stuff inoffensive. After 2 years of this, I never wanted to hear another fucking Meatloaf song ever fucking again.
Yeah.
And of course, just after I left this school, about a year afterwards, Meatloaf released "Bat Out of Hell 2", and there was that fucking song which was number 1 forever. What was it? "Anything I'd Do for You", whatever the fuck it was. Yeah, I fucking hate Meatloaf. Thanks, Chris, you wanker. Yeah, it was the guy next door to me. The room next door to me was a guy called Chris Davies. He was a right pain in the ass. He was he was a real life troll. Anyways, so I have a few parish notices before we begin with the news. First of all, I have been in contact with Chaos's Mel, who I was scheduled to debate on this channel last Thursday, and she pulled out. She has said she's still willing to come back on tomorrow. I'm hoping to talk. Well, I don't want to say debate. I just want to have a chat with her. I know she's somewhat of a controversial figure, for various reasons. But I wanted to have a chat with her, mainly about trans stuff, which is something a lot of people don't chat to her about, for now. Anyways, as I said, I've been in contact with her, and she said she's still up for coming on tomorrow. But we'll see, okay? Fingers crossed. I do want to talk to her, because, anyways, excuse me. Right,
well, worst case scenario, I can moderate a conversation between you and yourself about the topic.
Yeah. Anyways, the other parish notice is, I mentioned on Monday that a radio network was interested in broadcasting an audio version of this show. And I'm proud to announce that hopefully beginning 2 weeks today, that's the 5th of May, we will be simulcasting this show on YouTube and the Liberty Radio Network. And of course, those with a keen eye are going to spot, this is a libertarian radio network. What the fuck am I going to be doing on a libertarian radio network? I'm not a libertarian. True, I don't wank over, copies of Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged. However, I happen to know the program director. In fact, the program director is a friend of this channel. I'll give you a clue. She's got red hair. And she's a Satanist. And, anyways, and she's had a bit of bother with the law recently. She actually said to me that she was more interested in the fact that I speak up for LGBT people to live free without prejudice than any any interest in smashing the state. She kind of feels that we need to speak up for people to live freely before anyone starts saying downfall of the state. So that's what I got the impression from her about. So yeah, I'll be beginning on the Liberty Radio Network. Hopefully 2 weeks today. Fingers crossed. And well, a certain other show might be also appearing on the Liberty Radio Network.
I'm still working through things, so I was a bit late on trying to sort out scheduling details. So,
but
I'm still working through that. So
you're still in talks, aren't you, about the fluid voice? But yeah, Barry was also interested in having the fluid voice on the radio network, Liberty Radio Network, which, you know, it's going to be a departure for this network. But the other thing about it is that it is a satellite radio network, and it does have some reach, sub-Saharan Africa and Asia, and you know, these are places where LGBTQ people are very much oppressed.
Yep.
And so if we can get to those people with that LGBTQ people should live free, that's a good thing as far as I'm concerned. Anyways.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully 2 weeks today I will be simulcasting on this network. Anyways, on with the news. And well, if you've had your head under a rock for the last 24 hours, you won't know about this. But I take it most people have seen this. But anyway, let's just remind ourselves.
Members of the jury, I will now read the verdicts as they will appear in the permanent records of the 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota, County of Hennepin, District Court, 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota Plaintiff versus Derek Michael Chauvin, Defendant. Verdict, Count 1. Court file number 27, CR 20-12646. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to Count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:44 p.m. Signed, juror foreperson, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict count 2. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 2, third-degree murder, perpetrating an eminently dangerous act, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:45 p.m. Signed by jury foreperson, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict count 3. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 3, second-degree manslaughter, culpable negligence, creating an unreasonable risk, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:45 p.m. Jury foreperson 019.
Yes, that's right, folks. Derek Chauvin, the policeman who knelt on George Floyd's neck for 9.5 minutes, despite the fact that George Floyd said he couldn't breathe, was found guilty. And this is significant because this is the first time that a policeman has been found guilty of murdering a black suspect.
Yeah, and honestly, I had seen it live. I just I would have come on if I had the spoons too, because I know you wanted to talk with me, because like right after it happened. But that said, it was a wondrous event, and I was just like tentatively waiting through because they confirm with every juror as well. So
and it was unanimous,
and it was
wasn't
just it was unanimous, and it was it was really nice to watch and tense, because we didn't know if he was actually going to get convicted of anything. Oh, also, bail removed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
bail removed.
You're off to jail, you racist motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, sentencing's not going to be for another 8 weeks, is it? But if this guy doesn't get at least 30 years, yeah?
Well, the maximum sentence is 40 years, and depending on... it depends on, essentially, a mixture of the judge and how much state pressure will push down on Derek Chauvin to try to provide maximum sentencing, because he could be spending as much as 40 years in jail for these sentences.
Yeah, well, he deserves life, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's just life isn't the maximum for second and third degree murder.
He's a racist, murdering piece of shit.
Well, yeah, he is.
And justice was served yesterday, as far as I'm concerned.
And also, he's like 40 something, so he wouldn't be able to get out until he's 80. So,
yeah, as far as I'm concerned, justice was done. And well, Joe Biden phoned the family of George Floyd straight afterwards. I'm just thinking about the shit they've had to go through, the grief they've had to go through this past year. And this is what Joe Biden had to say.
Hello. Hello. Hey, how you doing?
How's Gianna doing?
Feeling better now. Nothing is going to make it all better, but at least God, now there's some justice.
Right.
And I think Gianna's coming. My daddy's going to change the world. He's going to start to change it now.
That's right.
Yes. Amen.
Start to change it now.
Yes.
You've been incredible. You're an incredible family. I wish I were there, just put my arms around you. I'm standing here with Cedric. We've been talking, we've been watching every second of this, and the vice president, all of us, and we're all so relieved. Not just one verdict, but all three, really on all three counts. And it's really important. I'm anxious to see you guys. I really am. And we're going to get a lot more done. We're going to get police. We're going to do a lot. We're going to stay at it till we get it done.
Hopefully this is the momentum for the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act to get passed and have you sign.
We got it, that and a lot more. Not just that, a lot more.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, this could be our first shot at dealing with genuine systemic racism. Look, there's two people here that feel strongly as I do. The vice president, she wants to say something.
Okay.
I'm just so thankful to the entire family. Your courage, your commitment, your strength has been a strength for so many people that meet. And this is a day of justice in America. And your family and history is going to show real leaders at this moment where we needed you. And in George's name and memory, we are going to make sure his legacy is intact, and that history will look back at this moment and know that it was an inflection moment. You had to sacrifice so much, your family did too. But we really do believe that with your leadership and the president that we have in the White House, that we're going to make something good come out of this tragedy, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice President.
Thank you, Madam Vice President.
And you better go get ready, because when we do it, we're going to put you on Air Force One and get you here.
We're going to hold you to that, President Biden. Jesus.
I guarantee it.
Thank you, Mr. President.
What I'm most concerned about, Gianna.
She's okay. I'm going to go tell her in a few.
My wife Jill's with me too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, could you imagine Donald Trump doing that? No.
No.
Donald Trump would more likely you go on television and basically imply that the Klan, the 3%ers and the fucking Proud Boys go and antagonize the black community in Minneapolis.
Well,
that's what he'd more likely
okay.
do. Joe Biden is doing what a statesman should do, and he was very statesman-like that. And I do actually, there is a cynical part of me that feels, Biden won't do half of what he says in that call. Okay.
Well, yeah.
But there's the thing about Biden is he does actually seem semi-genuine, and he does seem to care about these issues, right?
Unfortunately, I must inform you of a thought that HK has put in my head that now it has to be put in your head because I will torture you as well. HK put Trump would have given him the Medal of Freedom.
Yeah, no, yeah. Would have given Derek Chauvin the Medal of Freedom. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
He would have.
Yeah.
No, he would have given him a presidential pardon, wouldn't he, as well?
Oh,
But
yeah,
no,
probably.
actually, you can't do that because it's a state. It's not a federal crime, is it? It's a state crime.
Oh fuck! I don't remember how all the presidential pardon stuff works off the top of my head. But
He would have tried to give him but he would have tried. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So.
And now I'm sick to my stomach, basically, for the rest of the day because of that. Thanks a lot, HK. No, it's fine. It was actually pretty funny.
So Biden addressed the nation. All right. If you didn't manage to, because the sound quality wasn't too great on that, but he said much of what he said in that call here. Let's have a listen.
Today, a jury in Minnesota found former Minneapolis police officer Derek.
Yeah. Former. Yeah. He's not a policeman anymore. He's a convicted murderer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Convicted murderer.
Yeah.
You can just shout that out without
Derek Chauvin
complaints.
He's a convicted murderer.
Yep.
Derek Chauvin, guilty on all counts in the murder of George Floyd last May. It was a murder in the full light of day, and it ripped the blinders off for the whole world to see. The systemic racism the Vice President just referred to. The systemic racism is a stain on our nation's soul. The knee on the neck of justice for Black Americans. Profound fear and trauma. The pain, the exhaustion that Black and brown Americans experience every single day. The murder of George Floyd launched a summer of protest we hadn't seen since the civil rights era in the 60s. Protests that unified people of every race and generation.
You see, that's the other difference. To Donald Trump and the far right, they were just rioters. That's what they were. Rioters and looters. Yeah? But, Biden saw it for because the thing is, the media, so the media gave a very skewed view of what was actually going on. Most of the BLM protests were peaceful, right?
Yeah.
No one can deny there weren't riots, right? And there weren't police stations being burnt down and stuff. But the fact...
Well, it's just like a couple.
But obviously, the media has, shall we say, a right-wing bias. Has an authoritarian bias as well.
Yeah.
And of course, Donald Trump being the fascist he was, could seize on it to basically be, even more of an authoritarian prick.
I want to bring up one more thing with relation to the Derek Chauvin trial. Tao, Lane, and Kung, or whatever, who are the three the three former officers charged with aid and abetting. They will face trial in August, and because Chauvin was convicted of those charges, those three might be convicted as well of aiding and abetting in murder. So,
well, I kind of think that they're probably going to have to, if they don't want to get life imprisonment, I would imagine they're going to have to plead guilty. Anyways,
in peace and with purpose, to say enough of this senseless killings. Today's verdict is a step forward. I just spoke with the governor of Minnesota, who thanked me for the close work with his team. And I also spoke with George Floyd's family again.
remarkable family of extraordinary courage. Nothing can ever bring their brother, their father back. But this can be a giant step forward in the march toward justice in America.
Yeah, look, the George Floyd murder was horrific, but if any good can come of it, it can be, reform in America. You just hope that the verdict yesterday is a step, for in the right direction for the United States, for reform, for the betterment of minorities in the United States.
Well, yeah, it has to. The next trials that come up, if they follow the precedent
it's not
of
just
this trial.
it's not just the trials. It's the thing is, right? Yeah, Derek Chauvin has been convicted, and that's good.
Yeah.
Right. But right, we know that that there are other cases of policemen shooting innocent black people. Right.
Yep.
In fact, there's been recently another case in Minneapolis, Dante Wright. And
yeah, Dante, that was done during the trial, and in Ohio there was a police shooting just last night of a black woman who called the police because she was feeling threatened, and then was murdered by police.
Yeah, and here's the thing: the police are some police forces are saying that they're for thinking about going on strike in response to the verdict of guilty with Derek Chauvin. Well, good, because I mean, less black people will get shot by them.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have
Let's
the
also
same
be clear
impact.
that such a verdict is also much too rare. For so many people, it seems like it took a unique and extraordinary convergence of factors. A brave young woman with a smartphone camera, a crowd that was traumatized witnesses, a murder that lasts almost 10 minutes in broad daylight for ultimately the whole world to see. Officers standing up and testifying against a fellow officer instead of just closing ranks, which should be commended. A jury who heard the evidence, carried out their civic duty in the midst of an extraordinary moment, under extraordinary pressure. For so many, it feels like it took all of that for the judicial system to deliver a just basic accountability. We saw how traumatic and exhausting just watching the trial was for so many people. Think about it, those of you who are listening. Think about how traumatic it was for you. You weren't there. You didn't know any of the people. But it was difficult, especially for the witnesses who had to relive that day. It's a trauma. On top of the fear so many people of color live with every day when they go to sleep at night and pray for the safety of themselves and their loved ones. Again, as we saw in this trial from the fellow police officers who testified, most men and women who wear the badge serve their communities honorably. But those few who fail to meet that standard must be held accountable, and they were today. One was. No one should be above the law. And today's verdict sends that message. But it's not enough. We can't stop here. In order to deliver real change and reform, we can and we must do more to reduce the likelihood that tragedies like this will ever happen and occur again. To ensure that black and brown people, or anyone, so they don't fear the interactions with law enforcement, that they don't have to wake up knowing that they can lose their very life in the course of just living their life. They don't have to worry about whether their sons or daughters will come home after a grocery store run, or just walking down the street, or driving their car, or playing in the park, or just sleeping at home. And this takes acknowledging and confronting head-on systemic racism and the racial disparities that exist in policing and in our criminal justice system more broadly. You know, state and local government and law enforcement needs to step up, but so does the federal government. That's why I've appointed the leadership of the Justice Department that I have.
Now, it seems to me that Biden does genuinely want to do something.
It's always hard to say when it comes to this stuff because sometimes people.
Yeah, but you see, the thing
Just,
is, but what I was going to say is, if he does, right, it'll be fun to see if the GOP will play ball. Yeah. I mean, can I just remind people that Marjorie Taylor Greene, yes, the Jewish space laser woman, QAnon nutcase, and Lauren Bobbitt. Funny, I've got two stories about them today. They voted against kids with cancer getting bone marrow transplants.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're just oppositional for oppositional's sake, right? And this is the problem, right? It's evident that there's institutionalized racism among when it comes to police forces across the United States, and something needs to be fucking done about it. Okay?
Yep.
And if Biden generally wants to do something, go on, do something, and let's see, which side of the which how what the GOP do. Yeah. Because thinks that the GOP won't play ball and show their true racist selves. I mean, I haven't seen what Trump. I don't know if Trump has had any response to any of this. I haven't seen what it is, and to be honest, I don't really want to see. I have seen. Obviously, we'll go through some of the far right bullshit there has been in response to this.
Well, yeah. And when it comes to,
but I do think Biden has said the right. He has sounded dignified and statesmanlike, and he has said what's needed to be said. He hasn't been fucking Donald Trump, inflaming the fucking situation. And I thought it was fucking laughable that there were right wing commentators in the United States saying he was inflaming the fucking situation. No, he wasn't. None of that's inflaming the fucking situation at all. I think you got the wrong president. I think if it was Trump, yeah, he would have.
Yeah.
There would be Minneapolis right now would be on fucking fire if Trump was fucking in office. And Osmo would be hiding.
Well, I mean, admittedly, I am tired of that. Like, Minnesota's like a commie state or is on fire, and it's like, nah, it's neither of those things really.
Yeah. So I think Biden has said what is needed to be said.
That is fully committed to restoring trust between law enforcement and the community they are sworn to serve and protect. I have complete confidence in the Attorney General, General Garland's leadership and commitment. I've also nominated two key Justice Department nominees, Vanita Gupta and Kristen Clark, who are eminently qualified.
Right, he's getting into the technical stuff about what he's going to be doing.
Gotcha.
So, go and check out his speech for yourselves. I think he's still. The thing is, I just don't trust the police as an institution these days. Okay, I am sure there are some good policemen, and in fact, I've said on the show there are. I've said, I've pointed to that policeman who led the Capitol rioters away from the floor of the Senate,
or the policewoman who stopped a chokehold. Well, former policewoman, because she got fired for stopping another George Floyd murder from happening, and she successfully sued them. So
yeah,
that's at least good. But that sort of stuff always doesn't help.
Yeah. But the trouble is, stories like that about the police are in the minority these days, and that's what's sad. Yeah. More and more, we
and
are
even
seeing.
what happens, they get fired.
You see, the thing is, people need to go and look at the Stanford experiment, and that whole old analogy about if you give someone a gun and a badge, they'll start acting like a fascist. Well, with many U.S. police forces, it does seem to be the case, doesn't it? Yeah, and something needs to be done about it.
Yeah.
So Biden said the right thing. Unfortunately, Nancy Pelosi said
Shout
this.
out to your mom. How hard. Thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice, for being there.
As Chaos as Mel said here, sums it up. Thank you, black person, for dying for my political agenda. Nancy Pelosi has just said one of the most asinine and offensive things I think I've ever heard a Democrat politician say in recent years.
Yeah.
What the fuck was going through her head? The far right are all over this, and no fucking wonder. I can't fucking defend what she said.
Yeah. Because it was just like fucking got. Well, I mean.
Oh, thank you, black people, for suffering. Yeah? Yeah, there's more votes in it for me. That's basically what she says.
Yeah, thank you, black people, for dying. Thank you, disabled people, for dying, because I have learned to really value things. So thank you for dying. Yeah, no, that's fucking awful, no matter who the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah. Fucking hell. I really think that Nancy Pelosi should think about excuse me, retiring. I mean, she's about 80, isn't she now? Something like that.
How old is she? She's ancient, or at the very least, she acts ancient. So. 81 years old.
81?
Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, I'm not...
She looks good for her age, but that's because she's probably rich, so...
Well, yeah. Okay, some people are going to accuse me of ageism. Look, I'm just saying that if she's going to come out with shit like this, she should think about retirement, okay? That's, yeah.
The thing is, it's easy for older people to get trapped into the idea of how the world was without looking at how the world is. And
I just think she's just said a really stupid, dumbass thing.
Yeah. Apparently, according to apparently, the rest of her speech is terrible too.
Yeah, well, I can't be bothered to listen to after just hearing that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you, because that was fucking awful.
Onto the far right response. So, Benny, yes. We haven't spoken about Benny for a few weeks.
Oh, Benny Chaperone.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, he tweeted, "It is fully insane that the President of the United States seeks to address the nation in the aftermath of an individual criminal justice cases. But this is a new norm that has been since Ferguson." Right. The implication in what he's saying there is that basically that, because there's a tweet underneath it about how Biden had been preparing for weeks in advance in what he was going to say. Well, look, I would imagine there would have been 2 speeches prepared. Okay.
Yep.
That would be the typical norm in a situation.
Well, 3 speeches potentially, because if he was only charged with second-degree manslaughter, it would be understandable if he had a speech saying, "Oh, I understand that you're blah blah blah. I'm not.
Yeah, but the implication that Benny is trying to imply, right, is that Derek Chauvin was stitched up, basically. That the White House knew what the outcome of the case was going to be.
Oh yeah, no, no.
That's what he's trying to imply. Also, the fact that he's trying to undermine the significance of this verdict. That's the other thing. And this is typical of what the far right have been doing in response to this verdict, trying to belittle it, saying it's not as important as it is. I think
people watched from around the world.
I think it's pretty fucking significant, considering that George Floyd's murder, yes, and it was murder because now Derek Chauvin is a convicted murderer. His that murder sparked a wave of protest like the United States hadn't seen since the 60s, as Biden pointed out. So, completely misjudging everything as per fucking usual, Ben.
Yeah.
Now, Pajama Watson, Paul Joseph Watson tweeted, totally convinced the verdict was solely based on sorry, he's being sarcastic here. Sorry, I should explain. Totally convinced the verdict was solely based on evidence and not the threat of massive nationwide riots. Who would doubt it? This is the other thing that the far right are trying to do. We'll get to something that Candace Owen has said about how the jurors returned a guilty verdict because they were scared that their houses were going to get burnt down. Yeah, I'm surprised Paul Joseph Watson didn't start some tweet. Imagine my surprise, because that's always his catchline, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I managed to somehow forget to pay attention to Paul Joseph Watson.
Oh, how the fuck has Paul Joseph Watson got a blue tick, by the way? On Twitter. Anyways, what was I going to say? Yeah. Paul, the evidence. Have you watched the fucking video? Because I think the whole fucking world has, mate. Yeah, the fucking Derek Chauvin had his fucking knee on George Floyd for 9.5 minutes, and was saying he couldn't fucking breathe. Usually when people
were screaming at Chauvin to tell him to stop.
Yeah, and usually when people can't breathe, they eventually die.
Wait, what? You need air to live?
Yeah, I know. I mean, why? Have you got gills? Can you breathe underwater? It's Benny again.
No comment.
It's Benny again. Yes, he's been saying a few fucking stupid things. Well, it is Benny fucking Shapiro, isn't it? There is a widespread recognition on the left, both among media and politicians, that enormous public pressure that the enormous public pressure campaign was crucial to achieving the Chauvin conviction, which is typically not how criminal justice systems are supposed to work. As with Paul Joseph Watson, it's the same bullshit. They only returned a verdict of guilty because of mob rule. This is what the far right are saying. So, just fucking, they can't accept that Derek Chauvin is, a murderer. Now, yes, Tucker Carlson. Yeah, we move on to Tucker Carlson. The
white nationalist who has the most attention.
Yeah, so Tucker Carlson had Candace Owen on his Fox show. Candace Owen is essentially an anti-Thomasia. She's black, but supported Trump. An anti-Thomasia. Well, we're going to have to go through this. It ain't pleasant.
Ooh. I'm
Candace
scared.
Owens is the host of Candace. We're happy to have her on tonight to assess what we're watching now. Candace Owens, you'd think in a country like ours, very top, I mean, this is the most first world country that's ever been. You'd think the most civilized and the most just. Here you have to consider a murder.
Oh, whoops. Sorry.
Through the lens.
Most first world country. Does the United States overall have the highest standard of living? No, countries like Denmark and Sweden do.
Yeah, we are surprisingly close to third world in some attitudes.
Yeah.
Lens of politics. When you get to that point, haven't you already given up civilization?
Well, that's correct. And what we're really seeing is mob justice, and that's really what happened with this entire trial. This was not a trial about George Floyd or Derek Chauvin. This was a trial about whether the media was powerful enough to create a simulation and decide upon it.
It's as if the far right have all have conspired with one another to say the same bullshit, isn't it? Because they all do seem to be saying the same bullshit. They're all saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is because the jury were scared of mob rule." That this was pressure from the liberal media, from the liberal establishment, which doesn't fucking exist, by the way.
Well, yeah, but I mean, also it's contradictory. Like, you have, if you're concerned about mob rule, then you're essentially saying you're concerned about what the people of America might do, and that has nothing to do with the media. That has to do with the American people. And if you're talking about first world with regards to politics, then democracy is generally a thing, and which involves, well, a lot of people standing up for their rights. I mean, there's a reason why a protest sparked the Revolutionary War in America. Like, yeah, you can't. It's a country founded on a revolution. Like, we're supposed to protest.
A narrative absent any facts, whether it was powerful enough to repeat showing and talking about a 9-minute clip that came from somebody's cell phone without adding any context, without showing the full police video, which they could have released. They refused to release the full body cam, which would have added more clarity to the fact that the media was lying. The media came out. Let's not forget this, Tucker. The media came out and told.
Oh, I'm a black person who's doing okay. Fuck the rest of you. That's what she's saying. She's saying fuck you to the black community.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you, she's an fucking Thomasia.
And also, it wasn't it wasn't like.
And by the way, Candace, there's a saying, the camera never lies. We all saw it. Yeah? It's pretty straightforward. Yeah? Derek Chauvin had his fucking knee on George Floyd's neck when George Floyd said he couldn't fucking breathe. Duh. Do the math. Duh. Person can't breathe long enough, they die. Duh. Okay, now.
Told us that this was a man who was just getting his life together. He was a good member of society, and he got mixed up because a racist white police officer had it out for him and killed him. All of that fell apart. All of the facts came out, and all of that fell apart. We now know, of course, that he had enough fentanyl in him. It was 3 times the least.
Oh my God!
This is the other thing they're trying, right?
I know the defense tried it too, but like the prosecution broke down why every defense element was complete and total bullshit. He had so much in the system. Well, there's like potential carbon monoxide poisoning. Well, do the results from the inspection of the dead body suggest that? Well, no, but like it could have been the case. I mean, it's lots of, it could have been the case. But you know what was the case? Like a fucking police officer putting him in an illegal restraint that choked him to death. So, yeah. That's what the evidence said, but like they don't care about the evidence. They care about only what hypotheticals go with their views.
Lethal dosage, 3 times lethal dosage in him when he died. But nobody cares because the media was successful in putting out a narrative, and they kept hitting that narrative. And the reason why the Democrats are happy is because they realize, of course, the media supports them, and now means the Democrats can get whatever they want because they can create a narrative, and then they can treat people like pawns and get them to basically say,
okay, Nancy Pelosi kind of put a foot in it. But generally, you know, basically accusing all Democrats of using George Floyd's murder. Fuck off. That's not everybody is as cynical as that, you know. I'm not denying there aren't, as I said, you know, Nancy Pelosi, the mask did slip, didn't it? And that hasn't helped. But this is typical of the far right, you know, blaming the fucking Democrats for fucking everything.
Yeah,
blaming the media. For fuck's sake, Candace, you're sitting on fucking Fox News. You know, it hardly has a liberal bias, does it? I mean, for fuck's sake, there's Tucker Carlson, a white fucking supremacist.
Yeah, and the prosecution brought it up. The experts all agree, and the videos show George Floyd did not die the way that someone who dies of fentanyl overdose dies. His breathing didn't slow down. He didn't fall asleep. He didn't go into a coma. No, this looked nothing like a fentanyl overdose.
if we don't get what we want, we will riot, we will loot, we will send these people out like soldiers to destroy your neighborhoods. And that is exactly...
far-right fear-mongering now, I see.
Exactly what has happened. That has been the determination of this trial. The media and the Democrats now have enough power to bully and to lie to and to create propaganda.
Yeah, of course, the GOP never lie and bully, do they? Nah, they never do that, do they?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
sorry,
I forgot to...
How many Democrats...
I forgot to mention the toxicologist who said that his fentanyl levels were well below the ratio of people who die from an overdose. That's not like 3 times what's expected for an overdose. That's below the level of an overdose. So it's like, not only do they lie, but they also, fabricate evidence based off of hypotheticals.
Now, tell me, Candace, how many Democrat voters pick up a gun and go and murder people in killing sprees? Drum roll, 0. How many people who would have voted for Trump have done so? Oh, well, let me think. Off the top of my head, there's Dylan Roof, who killed a whole load of black parishioners at a church in, I think it was South Carolina, or was it North Carolina? I can't remember. It was one of the Carolinas. There's the guy who recently killed a load of Asian workers at a massage parlor. There was Carl Rittenhouse, who drove, across 2 state lines to kill BLM protesters. The list goes on and fucking on.
And to successfully win. And that is what happened. And they are celebrating that win today. This was not a fair trial.
Only one side.
No person can say this was a fair trial.
You just got to take 3 steps back and acknowledge that only one side behaves this way. I mean, a jury in 1995 concluded that O.J. Simpson, despite DNA evidence, hadn't murdered 2 people, and there were no riots. But more to the point, there are a lot of people sitting behind, Trump voters sitting behind bars right now, have been for months, charged effectively with trespassing. We're not speculating. We've seen the charges. No Republican in the Congress stands up for them. Nobody mentions that. Nobody, is for prison reform when it's their political enemies.
Well, that's funny you say that, Tucker, because it's funny how people like Paul Joseph Watson and Alex Jones are screaming about the rise of the police state when it's white people suffering. Yeah. But funny, they turn into bootlicking fans of the fascist police state when they're beating down black people.
Well, it's not even that.
Funny how the NRA aren't for gun control when it's white people owning, assault rifles, but when black people arm themselves, suddenly they're for gun control. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and it's funny in the insurrection attempt at the Capitol, where, Blue Lives Matter flag, but like, injuring and killing police officers.
Yeah.
It's like they only care when it's convenient to them.
Yeah. Yes, of course. Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. You fucking hypocrite.
That's not equal justice, but nobody says it. Why is that?
Because we have two pandemics going on right now. There's a pandemic of ignorance in this country, and that is only allowed to fly because we also have a
yeah, there is a definite pandemic of ignorance. You're a fucking product of it, Candace.
pandemic of cowardice in this country, okay? So we have people that are
Wait, those are the two pandemics you're going
Yeah, of course.
Cowardice and ignorance?
Well, don't you know COVID-19's a hoax?
Oh my god.
Because Candace Owens is a renowned epidemiologist.
Well, I mean, she doesn't listen to toxicologists because clearly she knows better. She must be an expert in just about every area of medicine.
Maybe Candace should change her name to Karen.
purposefully putting out a bunch of ignorant claims, and then we have people that are too cowardly to stand up and say, you know what, this is wrong. There has been so much that has been going on in this country that is wrong. You talk about it, I talk about it, but we do not have people that are sitting in Congress that are willing to take this fight where it needs to be taken. By the way, you bring up Maxine Waters inciting violence. I'm so old, Tucker, that I remember when a man said, march peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol, and that was considered an incite to violence, right? That was like, oh my God, stop the press, get this person disappeared from social media because he is calling for violence. Look at what Maxine Waters says. No.
She hasn't fucking incited violence, Candace. Oh, God, this is the fucking Lawrence Southern claim about Colin Kaepernick again, isn't it, Arthur?
Yep.
Fuck off. Just fuck off. So...
Fuck off. No,
and then when Tucker hears something he doesn't like...
So I'm kind of more worried about the rest of the country, which, thanks to police inaction, in case you haven't noticed, is like boarded up. So that's more my concern. But I appreciate you coming on. Ed Gavin, thank you. Nope, done.
I don't like what you had to say, huh, Tucker? Yeah? Yeah? He's more worried about the rest of the country. Yeah, sure you are. So, yet again, you're belittling the significance of this verdict.
Yeah, and you don't want, like, police and correction officers to mention how police and correction officers are supposed to act. No, you want people like Derek Chauvin to tell you how police are supposed to act.
Yeah, I mean...
Which is absurd.
So, people have been complaining about what Tucker Carlson's been saying. And it's like, well, hold on. Tucker Carlson's a white supremacist. And you're surprised that a white supremacist might be a bit racist. Jesus. Are that people that fucking naive?
I mean,
anyways,
it depends.
he's not the only Fox News host which has had a bit of a meltdown about the Derek Chauvin verdict.
Now, I got to tell you, I heard Greg a few minutes ago, and I got to tell you, I don't know, Greg is off his meds if he believes that there was not evidence.
Excuse
That's
me?
what I'm saying.
What did you say?
Let me finish.
What did you say? Excuse me? What did he say? Am I off my meds?
Not evidence.
You're lucky you're not around here.
Let me finish. If you do not believe that there was evidence that was supported to support these charges, I got a bridge in Brooklyn to tell you. This judge, as Janine said, conducted a fair hearing.
That is not what I said.
I'm not finished. As Martha said,
you are finished.
Yeah, don't like hear it when Fox News hosts don't like what they hear, they turn into fucking snowflakes. Yeah. Accuse us us on the left of turning into snowflakes when we hear stuff we don't like. Well, you're a fucking hypocrite. Well, we already knew this about the far right. So yeah, I knew that Fox News weren't going to like the verdict of Derek Chauvin being found guilty, and Sure, proving it.
Oh, the people who blocked me
Yes.
for asking a question.
Yes, yes, Poop Girl, Gun Girl, Caitlin Bennett. She had this is her immediate response to on Twitter to Derek Chauvin being found guilty. Justice is dead, and so is this country. An innocent man was just convicted of murder for a crime he never committed. This country sucks.
Well,
but hold on, Caitlin. I thought you loved America.
Yeah, just move to a different country. If
You don't like it when you've got a Democrat president. You know, you only like it when God Emperor Trump is in charge. Is that it?
You either believe in the justice system or you don't, and they seem to waffle depending on what convictions are made. If you believe that there's some value to the justice system in America as it is, then you should respect the fact that they went through the evidence and jurors found him convicted of the crimes he committed.
Yeah, you should accept.
Instead of crying away because you didn't get the result that your team didn't win.
Yeah, but remember, Poop Girl, she didn't like the result of the presidential elections, did she? Yeah. No. So she doesn't. She's when decisions go her way, she doesn't dispute them. But when they go against what she thinks is right, she sits there whining.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that Caitlin Bennett didn't go and troll black activists standing outside the court, because that's the kind of shit she would do.
Well, the thing is there's so many activists.
Well, is it because they would? Is it because they would kick her ass? Yeah, they probably would, wouldn't they? She doesn't like. She won't troll people who would probably fight back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for those who don't know, Caitlin Bennett, her MO is to go on to, well, generally, the last time I saw her, she was at the beach, but generally she goes on college campuses and harasses students with really stupid questions. Did I have a problem with there being tampon machines in male toilets? Yeah, she's a tad transphobic. Which reminds me, I know that some LGBTQ people are going to go, hold on, this is an LGBTQ show. What are you doing talking about Derek Chauvin? Right, okay, there's this thing called intersectionality, right? And
what? Intersectionality?
And a lot of the bigots are featured, like Paul Pajama Watson and Poop Girl here, that as well as being racist, right, they're also transphobic and homophobic, right? Because, weirdly, the bigots who hate on the LGBTQ community tend to be more intersectional than some LGBTQ people. Yeah, just say, yeah, bigotry is intersectional. Well, yeah. If you
transphobes, racists, homophobes, and people who are anti-sex work all like to work together in LGB Alliance.
Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned them. That's coming up.
Yeah, I figured. Hard for that not to come up.
So this is Lauren Bobbitt. Yes. Of course, one of the toxic twins. Along with Marjorie Taylor Greene, complete QAnon reactionary GOP congresswoman. Just let's.
That was my alarm to wake up.
Oh, right. Okay. Are you awake? Are you awake?
Moderately. Although the food has been ordered that I got by a roommate for me washing half the dishes because I charged her for it. So I may have to grab that. I wasn't. I thought she'd wake up later.
Okay. Well, look, the rest of the world doesn't need to know about your domestic arrangements. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is Lauren Bobbitt, and this is what she had to say about the verdict.
You're exactly right, and who's to say what these jurors were actually going through, and what kind of communications were coming to them. I've heard it be said that their personal information has been leaked, and even their addresses. So we don't know the threats that were even coming their way, but that is the judicial branch, and we.
Right. So basically, Lauren Bobbitt is passing around that the jury were got at. Yeah, and of course you said this on Newsmax, by the way. There's a surprise. She and Marjorie Taylor Greene are probably even too much for fucking Fox News. Yeah, as I said...
I mean, that's hard. That's difficult to do, given Tucker Carlson is still on Fox News.
Yeah, but Tucker Carlson has a veneer of respectability, doesn't he? So, yeah. Though, of course, we know him for the Nazi he really is.
Yeah.
Anyways, Boris Johnson, Boris, yes, our esteemed Prime Minister, or not so esteemed as far as I'm concerned.
Trump light, I get it.
Yeah, well, it's the pound shop Trump. I was appalled by the death of George Floyd. Yeah, probably some aide told him about it, and told him this might have a bit of impact, Prime Minister. Hey, well, I put it so like I care. Yes, so he said, I was appalled by the death of George Floyd and welcome this verdict. My thoughts tonight are with George Floyd's family and friends. That has to be one of the most insincere fucking statements he's ever fucking made. And I find it fucking laughable coming from a man who has got a long history of spouting racist bullshit.
Well, yeah, but, it's over there in the United States, so naturally, it's one of those things where it's a lot easier for them to pretend like they care. If the same thing happened in the UK, it wouldn't surprise me if Boris Johnson would be speaking a different tune.
Well, Sarah Everard, not quite on the scale of George Floyd, but has had some impact. He was trying to pretend that he cared about women feeling like they're at risk walking down streets and stuff. Anyways,
well, naturally, by protecting women's rights.
Can you talk to the audience for a few minutes? I have to go for a piss. So
okay.
And don't talk to them about World of Warcraft. Talk to them about something politically relevant.
Okay. HK, yes, Prince Philip is still deceased. He has still managed to not rise from the grave as was expected when he was buried. I assume they put extra protective equipment in the graveyard to try to ensure that Prince Philip doesn't rise from the grave, because who knows what Prince Philip might do if that were to happen. Also, I'm not sure if the National Guard here in Minnesota have left yet, partially because I don't go outside much. But it is nice to know that they might be leaving soon, the National Guard. Well, they better leave soon. I know there was a drive-by shooting that injured some National Guard and police, which admittedly is kind of funny to me. I'm not a fan of the National Guard. I'm not a fan of passing by Humvees or a Humvee or two on the way to the grocery store. Not the most fun. it really, it's kind of a buzzkill. Anyone looking to possess grade needs to get in line behind me, and it'll be a while. Yeah, no, well, I mean,
right.
I assume the BBC are still watching Prince Philip's grave and have a channel run specifically just to continue watching Prince Philip's grave because it's important news.
Yeah, it's important news to remind people Prince Philip is still in the ground. Well, we talked about Lauren Bobbitt, so guess who we're going to be talking about next?
Boren Lobbit.
It wouldn't be a show. It wouldn't be an edition of Botha Rants if we didn't mention Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes, she's at it again. So, Marjorie Taylor Greene wants a drag queen arrested and charged for being near children.
Yep, that's
So, yes, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican from Georgia, called for the arrest of a drag queen after sharing a far-right media article that claimed children at drag club in Los Angeles being paraded around the stage by a drag queen, urging them to pose and strat for cash. For some reason, I don't think that's true. Someone should be arrested and charged, she declared, sharing the article from Ian Miles. Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Always a good sign.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of accuracy.
Right, we should explain to people who Ian Miles troll. He's basically a Twitter twat, a far-right Twitter troll who lives in Malaysia. He has never stepped inside the United States. And he is basically paid to sprue the shit he does by the Koch brothers. Okay? So Ian Miles Chong, described as a right-wing provocateur, I'll say troll, who has been criticised for mischaracterising or spreading misinformation. I don't think he ever tells the fucking truth. Greene then well,
I'm sure he does accidentally.
Greene then appended the hashtag Save the Children to the tweet, which is commonly adopted phrase by QAnon believers that has anti-LGBTQ origins. The article bases its story shocking footage of children on stage at a drag show in Los Angeles. The article bases its story shocking footage of children on stage at a drag show in Los Angeles on a tweet by anti-trans comedian and podcast host, someone I can't pronounce.
Lindsay Platoshin?
Yeah, okay. The tweet includes a video that shows a woman complaining about children being out late at night before footage switches to a video of a drag performer walking and posing with two children while the woman continues complaining about what she's supposedly watching. The footage's origins is not detailed, and users online have shared that what the video shows is not accurately described. Yeah, well, I wasn't surprised. They're making shit up.
I saw footage of the power of the U.S. Army heroes with a man wearing red, white, and blue pulling a helicopter towards a place. I know people might say that's from a Marvel movie, but I swear I really saw this and
yeah. Yeah, you don't know where his footage come. You don't even know if Ian Miles Trong has basically basically got some actors to do this. Yeah, you don't know. And believe me, it wouldn't surprise me. I know somebody that's far fetched, but people.
He's done it before. There have been known recorded instances of him.
I mean, Alex Jones does
taking
as well.
Footage. Yeah,
they do. Now, so this is from Pink News. Trans billionaire warns Tennessee she'll move her wealth if it doesn't stop hurtful anti-trans attacks. Jennifer Pritzker, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Pritzker?
Pritzker, the world's first and only out trans billionaire, has said she'll consider moving her wealth out of Tennessee because of new anti-LGBT plus state laws. Pritzker is the only trans person ever included in the Forbes billionaire list, with a net worth estimated at $2 billion. Well, she's a pauper compared to fucking Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, but like still rich enough to whatever. Just go on.
Yeah, she's an ex U.S. Army lieutenant colonel and a member of one of the wealthiest families in the U.S. who founded the Hyatt Hotel Group. Her private family trust is currently held in Nashville, Tennessee, but has threatened to move it due to the ongoing attacks on LGBT plus rights in the state. In March, Tennessee passed a bill banning trans girls from playing middle and high school sports as their correct gender. State Governor Bill Lee stated that the move aimed to preserve women's athletics and ensure fair competition. Other ongoing legislative attacks in the state include attempts to ban LGBT plus inclusive textbooks. So I guess that the GOP will be having a big book burning in the schoolyards, just like the Nazis did, in schools. Allow parents to opt their children out of LGBT inclusive curriculums and restrict trans healthcare for under 18s. Bill Lee also signed a bill in 2019 which allowed adoption providers to discriminate against LGBT plus people. Jennifer Pritzker told the Nashville LGBT plus Chamber of Commerce, as a transgender woman, these unnecessary and hurtful laws are personal to me. Yeah, they fucking are, and I'm glad that she's standing up. Because there have been, I'm not gonna, well, shall I mention some names? Kelly Maloney, who is pretty wealthy herself. She basically the whole self-ID thing right over here. She went on the BBC, one of the sort of political talk shows on Sunday mornings, and said, she said, I don't need self-ID. Well, that's because you're rich, Kelly, right? Doesn't mean it. You know, it basically, with Kelly, it's, I'm all right, Jack. Fuck you. Yeah. I'm glad that Jennifer Pritzker, she is taking a very different tone, and I'm glad that she's speaking up for trans rights. Thank you. It obviously affects her, and she realizes that money can insulate you so far. Yeah. But it can't. It can't. The thing is, I'm sure that during the lead up to the Holocaust, there were Jews in Nazi Germany who thought that their wealth would, those Jews who were wealthy, because there's always the stereotype is all the Jews were wealthy. No, they weren't.
No.
But obviously there were some Jews who were welfare, and I'm sure they thought their welfare protected them. It didn't, right? And this is
and there's a reason there are conflicting stereotypes. Jews own all the wealth, but Jews hoard hoard money, which is like a poor person stereotype.
Yeah,
and they're like, it's both, and it's like, that doesn't sound right.
Anyways, the other thing, Chris, the far right have been getting their panties in a bind about is Pornhub. I actually had this story on Monday, but I actually deleted the tab towards the end of the show, so we didn't cover it. Far right Christian extremists call for the death to Pornhub staff and the end of sex work and trans rights. Extremist Christian groups are using far-right social media platform Gab, Nazi for Twitters, Twitter for Nazis. Twitter for Nazis, along with Parler. Oh, by the way, I forgot to include it, but yes, Parler is back on sale on the Apple App Store. So for all those Nazis who have an iPhone, you want to spout some hate? Well, you've now got Parler back on your iPhone. Though I'm surprised any Nazi would own an iPhone. I mean, Apple's a pretty, has a pretty hippie liberal sort of ethos, doesn't it? Or image.
Well, I mean, Windows kind of does too, to a certain degree.
So anyways, where was I? Yeah, so platform Gab to call on new recruits to defend women and children by abolishing sex work and trans rights. In February, calls for violence reached new heights when a photo of a Pornhub executive was posted on Gab with the message, "Wanted for crimes against women and children. Help us bring porn stars to justice. Save your children from the LGBT ideology. Save your daughter from becoming a whore. Save the white race." Jeez.
Oh, God.
The Gab post described Pornhub as a cartel and said that the Canadian government, Pornhub's parent company, MindGeek, is headquartered in Canada. I wonder if that's going to be on your list of interesting facts about Toronto. Doesn't sentence its employees to death. Members of the Christian group will execute them. The increasing violent rhetoric with the far right and Christian extremists aligned against LGBT plus people, women and sex workers and trans rights is being driven by anti-trafficking initiatives, according to a Vice article about the Gab posts called "The Crusade Against Pornhub is Going to Get Someone Killed." Yeah, no shit. What the fuck does trans rights have to do with pornography? Now, there's this inference that, trans people all trans women work in the fucking sex industry. Look, there is a myriad of, I don't know, hot and sweaty female dicks, and whatever else, websites, I mean, sure, we all know the porn sites. There are a lot of pre-op trans women, sure, who do work in the sex industry. I don't deny it, but they are forced into doing so to pay for healthcare, so that they can have surgery and treatment, for gender dysphoria.
Yeah. And not just that.
And they wouldn't be forced into
because there's less likely to get hired by businesses being themselves. So there's still a relatively large poverty.
The thing is, right? Look, I've got nothing against pornography, okay? Well, obviously I've got something against pornography which involves animals and children. But if consulting adults want to film themselves fucking, fine, okay? I've got no problem with that, all right? The thing is, a lot of trans women would not be forced into sex work if there was better health care coverage for trans women. Okay?
Yeah.
The other thing is, if these fundamentalist Christian extremists did kill, all people involved in the porn industry, they would be bored. They wouldn't have anything to wank to.
Yeah.
Because all the people we know, all those who spout anti-pornography, violent, prudish fucking rhetoric about the fucking porn industry, are the ones most gagging for it. We know that the bulk of people who watch Blair White on YouTube are conservative men who basically are wanking themselves silly watching her.
Okay, I have to be right back quick, so.
Alright. Well, she's Osma's gone to get her food, I guess. Let's have a look at the chat. Yeah, that's right, HK. Alex Jones did have trans porn on his phone. Yeah, I remember that. That was funny. Yeah. Yes, Ozma's Toronto exam. Yeah, next Monday. I couldn't believe that when she said, she says, well, there's that city out west. What, Vancouver? It's a pretty big fucking city. Now, to my shame, right, I was trying to think of the name of Montreal when I said Quebec City. Yeah. Yeah. So I hope you're all enjoying the show. Good point about how wholes of society largely don't want to hire a trans person or black person or gay person or women, etc. Yeah, the truth is, this is why I don't. It's funny actually. Dylan Burns was actually debating an anarcho-capitalist. And, anarcho-capitalists, they don't like anti-discrimination laws and well, they just don't like government, period. And he said, oh, right, so you think that it's okay for businesses and services to discriminate against people being gay? Yeah? And this anarcho-capitalist just absolutely refused to answer that fucking question. Yeah? Don't know what... yeah. But the truth is, as far as I'm concerned, those who protest against pornography the most are the ones most gagging for it. Seriously, they generally are. It's a bit like all those people who've run ex-gay ministries turned out to actually be, gay. Yeah, the lady does protest too much. It comes to mind. So what does everyone think about me being on the radio then? Huh? Anyone got anything to say about that? There might be a bit of a delay. We're a bit of lag between me and what chat here's. Yeah, that's also true. It's funny how, like, Tommy Robinson, he supposedly he's the great pedo hunter. Obviously, he only goes after people with brown skin, but a lot of his mates from the EDL have turned out to be either having sex with underage girls or being caught with child porn. Yeah, it does seem to be something with the far right. Yeah, Kevin. Yeah, Kevin's cool. Hopefully, I'm going to have him on the show. We're going to do like just a relaxed, chill chat on Saturday. I'm hoping. We'll talk about stuff. HK, can you not quote the Smiths? Thank you very much, Morrissey. Being a racist piece of shit. It was Johnny Marr who actually had the talent in that band. I mean, the riff to How Soon Is Now is great, though. I bet you don't know where he actually got that riff from. He did admit it. There is a track that actually sounds sort of similar, but you'd be surprised which track that is. I don't know where Osma's got to. All right, I'll tell you what. We'll get on with the news until she returns. Yeah, it's always good to talk to chat. Yeah, right. The American Humanist Association have withdrawn an award they gave to Richard Dawkins, and then this is their statement. Established in 1953, the Humanist of the Year is conferred annually by the American Humanist Association, recognizing the awardee as an example of humanist values, communication of science concepts to the communication of scientific concepts to the public is an important aspect of advancing the cause of humanism. Of course, it is. Richard Dawkins was honoured in 1996 by the American Humanist Association as Humanist of the Year for his significant contributions in this area. Regrettably, Richard Dawkins has over the past several years accumulated a history of making statements that use the guise of scientific discourse to demean marginalized groups, an approach antithetical to humanist values. His latest statement implies that the identities of transgender individuals are fraudulent. That's what exactly what he did, while also simultaneously attacking black identity as one that can be assumed when convenient. His subsequent attempts at clarification are inadequate and convey neither sensitivity nor sincerity. Consequently, the American Humanist Association Board has concluded that Richard Dawkins is no longer deserving of being honoured by the American Humanist Association and has voted to withdraw, effective immediately, the 1996 Humanist of the Year Award. Yeah, he has been, he made transphobic comments recently, which were also racist. So I'm glad that they have done this. I actually can't believe that I used to like people like Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens and Sam Harris. Because they're all fucking bigots, to be blunt about it. I am an atheist, and so's Ozma.
I'm back, by the way.
But neither one of us can basically say we like Richard Dawkins these days.
Yeah.
I was just telling people about he had his Humanist of the Year award withdrawn.
Yeah.
So
I saw that as well. That was funny.
So yes, the other big news. Yes, the LGB Alliance, which is, I mean, Pink News are being nice here. You know, anti-trans pressure group. They're a fucking hate group, okay?
Yeah.
They have got charitable status in the United Kingdom. That's like giving the Ku Klux Klan charitable status.
Yeah.
And before someone says, "Oh, that's hyperbolic," well, think about this: the LGB Alliance want to exclude trans people from society, basically.
Yeah.
Have us treated like second-class citizens on the basis of cis supremacy. Well, that's similar to the Ku Klux Klan preaching white supremacy. So, yes, let's get into this. The notorious anti-trans pressure group LGB Alliance has today been registered as a charity in England and Wales. The Charities Commission, a government department that registers and regulates charities in England and Wales, has confirmed that it has approved the LGB Alliance for entrance onto the register of public charities. There were a number of objections to the registration. Jesus Christ, there was a fucking tsunami!
Yeah.
To the
for good reason.
Registration of the LGB Alliance as a charity. The Commission said this includes nearly 30,000 people who signed a petition, including myself, urging the Charity Commission to reject the LGB Alliance's application to be registered as a charity on the grounds that it is an anti-trans hate group. Well, it is. I mean, look, you know, it's now a registered charity. Are they charitable towards trans people? No. Right, yeah.
Are they charitable toward, or do they even support LGB people? Nah.
Well, yeah, they don't support same-sex marriage. I mean, basically, the LGBT Alliance to tell people is a front for neo-Nazis, okay? I am not being hyperbolic here, okay? This is exactly what it is. The Commission looked at whether the LGBT Alliance's purpose what's that word?
Inevitably
involves the degradation
the denigration of the rights of transgender people,
and considered that it did not. Hold on. Fuck me. Are they? What fucking? Are they deaf, dumb, and blind? Sir,
well, they said they weren't anti-trans, so they must not be.
Fuck me. The Commission noted the LGB Alliance asserts that. The Commission noted that the LGB Alliance asserts that it engages constructively and respectfully with representatives of the trans community, has a number of supporters within the trans... basically anti-Thomasia trans people like Miranda Yardley.
Deborah
Hayting also comes to mind. And I'm sure there's a few true scubbers who would give them a thumbs up. I'm sure that India Willoughby might have a good word to say about them, because she hates herself so much. And yes, has a number of supporters in the trans community. Invited trans supporters to attend and speak at the meetings it has held, and has spoken publicly about its commitment to equality and respect for trans people. Look.
Oh my God.
It's not going to say on its website, we want to exterminate trans people, but that's exactly what they fucking want to do. All right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, neo-Nazis are all about protecting white people.
In December 2020, Ofcom boss Melanie Davis told MPs it's entirely inappropriate to quote LGB Alliance on trans-related issues, saying it would be akin to quoting racist organisations on issues related to racial equality. Yeah, but that doesn't stop the BBC, does it? Seriously.
No.
BBC has quoted the LGBT Alliance on articles about, trans issues, to which my response is, okay, the next time you write an article about the Jewish community, you're going to get a quote from the National Front. Since it launched in October 2019, the LGBT Alliance, which strongly denies it is transphobic, has been branded as a hate group by many in the LGBT plus community, including Pride in London, gay SNP Jack Nicholson, who, by the way, is on the case. Okay, I've seen a letter.
John Nicholson.
Sorry? Yeah, sorry.
You said Jack Nicholson. Which would be a more interesting thing, but John Nicholson.
John Nicholson. By the way, he has written to he's already on the case. I've seen a letter he's written to the Charities Commission. The Lib Dem plus Lib Dem gay Scottish actor David Paisley, and the Labour campaign for trans rights. And the pressure group has faced heavy criticism for refusing to denounce its neo-Nazi and homophobic supporters, for backing director Malcolm Clark's view that schools should not have LGBT plus clubs because of hereditary gay teachers. Gee, that's going back to the shit the tabloids used to publish in the 1980s, in the era of fucking Section 28. Fuck me. And for standing by co-founder Bev Jackson, defending working with anti-abortion and anti-LGBT plus Heritage Foundation, which is bankrolled by the Koch brothers, and also funds the Post-Millennial blog, which a certain Blair White writes for. As a charity, LGB Alliance's position will be there are only two sexes and gender is a social construct, and that this perspective should form part of the discussion about these issues, the Charity Commissioner said. LGB Alliance explains its position on the basis that it seeks to protect women and young people in particular. It argues, for example...
So it doesn't protect gay and bisexual people?
It argues, for example, that same spaces should be limited to biological... Sorry, I think it's meant to say same-sex spaces should be limited to biological women where they are potentially at risk. That's a dog whistle against trans women, by the way. LGB Alliance is also concerned about the support and aftercare that is provided for young people who are uncertain about their gender identity. Look, you're the ones who are uncertain about people's fucking gender identity.
Yeah.
As trans people, we're just fine with our gender identity. Thank you very much. Identifying and when applying for the gender recognition certificate, Maria Farstarter case considered in charity registration decision. The Charity Commission said it considered the case of Maria Farstarter in making its decision. Farstarter is a tax researcher whose job contract at a think tank was not renewed. Yeah, now this is important because TERF started to say she was sacked. No, her contract just came to an end after she repeatedly stated that trans women are men and vocally opposed trans rights reforms online. Her case became infamous after author J.K. Rowling tweeted in support of Farstarter after she lost her employment tribunal. She was working for an equalities organisation. It's kind of, not good for them to be having someone working for them who doesn't believe in equality, kind of.
Yeah.
At which she'd unsuccessfully tried to argue that her gender-critical beliefs... Here's the thing. TERFs are the least critical people of gender, shared by the LGB Alliance, should be protected by law. The tribunal concluded that the totality of evidence that Farstarter is an absolutist in her views of sex and is a care component of her belief that she will refer to a person by the sex she considered appropriate, even if it violates their dignity and or creates or an intimidating, hostile, degrading, humiliating or offensive environment, the Commission noted. However, it said that the fact that a particular belief does not attract such protection does not necessarily compel the finding that the promotion of rights or education of the public in accordance with such belief cannot be charitable.
Well,
I don't find discriminating, which is basically what they're saying they have a no. Sorry,
well, that's all they do. That's all they do is teach discriminatory stuff. I mean, you don't put the KKK on a charity because they don't actually teach anything outside of their bullshit reasons on why to hate people.
The charity also said that in the course of registering the LGB Alliance as a charity, which has taken more than a year, it found some evidence of social media activity by the LGB Alliance may be regarded as inflammatory and offensive. It'd be fun if they got booted from Twitter for being transphobic. The commission was concerned that although it promoted the rights of some groups and actively appeared to involve at times demeaning or denigrating the rights recognised by law of others, the commission said, I kind of think that if by law it is denigrating the rights of any group, it shouldn't get charitable status, but it's just me. After these concerns were raised, the LGB Alliance it reviewed and revised its social media policy. Not to get caught being transphobic in public, huh? The LGB Alliance stated that it intended to adopt a less defensive and confrontational approach to social media engagement. The revised social media, look, so they're not going to be transphobic in public, Well, look, here's the thing. It's often sometimes hard to say fascists are fascists because they're not wearing swastika armbands and jackboots, okay? But there's a line from the film Goodfellas, and I always like to remind people this. It says, killers are more likely to turn up in clown suits, right, than, a black trench coat, okay? In other words, people are going to basically try and put on a veneer of respectability to cover the fact that what they really are. So, Nigel Farage looks all very respectable with his suit and, seems, very eloquent with his accent and whatever else. But the guy's a fascist, okay? Now. So, this group has caused controversy from the start. New lesbian and gay and bisexual group facing immense backlash for being anti-trans from lesbian, gays and bisexuals. And this is from 2019 when they formed. A new LGB Alliance group that launched in London last night is being slammed online by people it claims to represent. In a tweet, lawyer Alison Bailey of Garden Court Chambers said, "This is an historic moment for the lesbian, gay and bisexual movement. LGB Alliance launched in London tonight, and we mean business. Spread the word. Gender extremism is about to meet its match." Now, I should explain how the LGB Alliance came into being. Basically,
I will say I do need to leave.
Yeah, I know.
Soon.
Okay. Well,
you can continue on. By the way, okay, I know there's some things still on.
Yeah, if you need to go, my darling. Okay.
Okay. Because I'll randomly mention it. You can find me at osmanthedark.com. Blah blah blah.
Well, you're about to go and host Rainbow Shelter News, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. So, bye.
Bye.
Thank you, by the way.
Bye. It's all right.
Oh, I just said thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it's all right.
I do appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, bye.
So, they came into existence because some people weren't happy when Stonewall back in 2014 decided to start advocating for trans people. Believe it or not, up until 2014, I know it sounds absolutely bizarre, didn't actually speak up for trans people. Stonewall, no, they didn't. Goes right back to the early. There was a split in the early 70s. Soon after, funny enough, the Stonewall riots. Basically, lesbian and gays at that time didn't think that speaking out for trans people would have them being taken seriously. So, yeah. As far as I know, this group is just full of transphobes, and and as you can see from these tweets, included in this article, people aren't, there was a backlash from within the LGBT community, which basically, it's good to see that there are people within the LGBT community who are prepared to ally themselves with trans people publicly against the hate trans people get. Because some trans people don't think that, lesbian and gays are as enthusiastic about sticking up for trans people as, some people like to spin. Well, generally, I would say lesbian and gay and bi people are prepared to. Generally, yeah. I am not denying that there isn't transphobia within the LGBT, the LGB part of the LGBTQ community towards, trans people. I've experienced it myself. But, things like this are trying to drive a wedge, trying to divide, things like the LGB Alliance is trying to sow division within the LGBTQ community at a time when the LGBT community needs to stick together, because, I think some parts of the LGBT community have just found out the Tories aren't as keen on LGBTQ equality as they once appeared to be, ever since Boris Johnson walked through the doors of Downing Street, the door of Downing Street, the Tories have become decidedly more anti-LGBTQ. You notice that? Yeah, all the recent stories. So, there has been obviously a backlash to the LGB Alliance getting charitable status. So I'm getting a bit tired, so I'm going to put the reader on.
LGBT plus non-profits have hit out at the Charity Commission's reckless and damaging decision to recognize the LGB Alliance, a notorious anti-trans pressure group. The Charity Commission confirmed on Tuesday, the 20th of April, that it had approved the LGB Alliance for entry onto its register of public charities in England and Wales. Despite the fact that a number of high-profile LGBT+ organizations lambasted the Charity Commission for registering the LGB Alliance. Mermaids, a charity that works with trans youth, said it is deeply disturbed by the Commission's decision.
Yeah, and let me remind you who but it does tell you Mermaids is a charity which works with trans youth, who have been under constant fucking attack from transphobes. Okay? And Susie Green is a very courageous woman who runs it. Next time I see her, I'm going to give her a really big hug, so long as it's after all the COVID restrictions are lifted, which is probably when I'll likely see her anyways. The LGB Alliance is going to go after people like Mermaids,
Mermaids, a charity that works with trans youth, said it is deeply disturbed by the Commission's decision. Charity should be a shared badge of honor worn with pride by organizations seeking to empower rather than demonize those in need, Mermaids said in a statement. giving a divisive and polarizing anti-trans campaign group such as the LGB Alliance a supposed mark of legitimacy brings into question the Charity Commission's processes. The organization continued, "We strongly challenge the suggestion that the LGB Alliance stands for the promotion of equality, diversity and human rights when it actively seeks to exclude transgender and gender-diverse people from the LGBTQ+ movement. We consider this decision by the Charity Commission to be a reckless and damaging act of betrayal to transgender and gender-diverse people and our allies." LGBT+ charity Stonewall said it was upsetting to see the LGB Alliance given charitable status when the organization was founded to oppose our work towards trans rights. However, Stonewall also pointed out that the LGB Alliance will now be held accountable for its actions by the Charity Commission, meaning members of the group won't be able to demean others.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I'd also say we'll find out who's funding them. Yeah. We'll find out how much money is coming from the far right in America. Yeah.
The LGBT Foundation, a Manchester-based organization, said it was shocked by the Charity Commission's decision to register the LGB Alliance. "We are shocked that the Charity Commission has registered the self-styled LGB Alliance, as we do not believe that any organization which actively targets and campaigns against trans communities should be granted charitable status," the group said. The LGBT Foundation said it will be raising its concerns urgently with the Commission, adding that the decision has caused a lot of pain for trans and non-binary people. "To our trans and non-binary siblings, do not let days like today make you feel that you are alone. There are hundreds of thousands of cisgender, lesbian, gay and bi allies by your side. Be secure in the knowledge that you are loved, you are accepted, and we will always be there for you and with you."
Right, hold on 1 second. I'll read just finish this article. Oh, hold on. Whoops. Just finish this. Just finish this article.
The LGBT Foundation added, "Trans and non-binary rights do not come at the expense of rights for anybody else. The progress we have made for LGBT..."
Yeah, you see, that's the basically the LGBT Alliance's spew is that speaking out for the rights of trans women. It means that the rights of cisgendered women get excluded, which is a bit like racists saying speaking up for black women excludes rights for white women. No one is saying that, and there's, and in fact sometimes I think that trans women actually speak up for the rights of cisgendered women far more than fucking TERFs ever will. Let's just say that. I mean, I certainly do.
The progress we have made for LGBT equality in recent decades is a direct result of communities coming together. We have a proud and united history, just as we will have a proud and united future. In its decision to register the organization, the Charity Commission noted that there were a number of objections. However, the Commission said it looked at whether LGB Alliance's purpose inevitably involves the denigration of the rights of transgender people and considered that it did not. The Commission said the LGB Alliance insists it engages constructively and respectfully with representatives of the transgender community, and has trans supporters. The decision to register the LGB Alliance as a charity comes just months after Ofcom boss Melanie Dawes told MPs that it was entirely inappropriate to quote the LGB Alliance on trans issues, saying it would be similar to quoting a racist organization on race issues.
Now, I would imagine that some people might want to point out that what's the big deal? There are churches who get charitable status who spout homophobic bullshit. And that's true, Jesus House comes to mind. But the thing is, it's just the trans community have just suffered blow after blow over the last few months, and this is just the latest in a series. But And, you know, just a lot of trans people are just getting very, very fed up and depressed by all this, and I'm not surprised. However, I want to end on some good news. So, here's me back in 2018 with Monroe Berghoff. And I don't know how Rose of Dawn can be nasty to Monroe. She is the sweetest of people, and I've met her more than once. Seriously, she's an exceptionally sweet person. And there's some good news for in regards to Monroe. She's going to become Strictly Come Dancing's first trans contestant. Now, this isn't usually a story I would cover. You know, I don't really go in for reality TV and stuff. But and I certainly don't like Strictly Come Dancing. But good on her. You know, I hope she really does well. You know, as I said, I really, really like Monroe. And she's an exceptionally sweet as a person. I'm repeating myself. But, you know, I can't help it. I do like her. Anyways, that brings to the end another edition of Botha Rants. Well, I should be back Friday for the next edition. As I say, tomorrow it will probably be, you know, early hours of Friday morning. I'll be hopefully debating Chaos as Mel. But the next scheduled show, as I know will go ahead, is on Friday. Botha Rants. Anyways, if you like this video, give it a like. Please do share this video on all your social media feeds. Please help spread the word. Also, if you've got any comments, please leave some feedback. I see some people have been making comments. And most important of all, subscribe. And thank you to all the new subscribers. I have passed the 200 mark, which is fifth of the way to getting this channel monetized. So thank you so much to all those new subscribers. Anyways, in the meantime, please take care of yourselves, stay safe, and peace out.